Hello, everybody. I am glad to be here again. Glad it's Friday. Hope you guys had a good week and have a good weekend. We've got a really good informational video planned for you guys today. For really anyone at any stage of their process, even for those of you who are new and haven't started your own process, it'll be great to get all this information before you start, or if you're in your process already. We want to give you guys a better idea of what exactly BDV is doing for you, for all of our applicants, and why you hire us and why you trust us to do this process. Last informational video that I did, we were joined with Tom, and he really helped us to understand what the business development team is doing to find sponsors before our applicants even start their process. There are several teams, other BDV teams involved in your process, including next would be my team, the sales team. We're really trying to help you become knowledgeable about the process. We'll answer any of your eligibility questions, process questions, and really help you to feel more comfortable and confident in BDV. Next is the global mobility team. They're going to help you with the first few actual steps of your process, the labor certification, the USCIS portion, onboarding with your attorneys later on in your process. And we'll probably do a video on that as well. But now we get to why we're here today, the client services team. This team is the team helping you once you actually get your EAD, your work permit, your EB3 work permit, which is why we are going to be joined today with Corey, our Director of Client Services. So let me go ahead and add her to the stream. Hello, Corey.
Hello.
How are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Good. Yeah, well, thanks for joining us today. If you kind of want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Corey McKee, and I'm the Director of Client Services here at BDV. And I have worked with international students, foreign exchange students, and also worked overseas with students for about 12 years before I came to BDV. So I'm very familiar with your situation and where you are at in life and why you want to come to the U.S. So I'm really excited to work here at BDV and help clients to achieve the American dream.
Yeah, Corey's been a great addition to BDV since starting. She's really hit the ground running and helped us a lot and helped a lot of people in their process when they got their work permit, starting work for their sponsors. But let's kind of start off on the very beginning, the very basics for those who are brand new here or may not know a lot about this process. What exactly is work authorization? And I'm going to add your screen here so that you have that.
So work authorization for adjustment of status, this call today is specifically to review work authorization for AOS. So if you're AOS, you need to have your I-140 approved and your EAD or green card. So EAD is the employment authorization document, or the green card, whichever comes first. Sometimes that green card may come before the EAD. Yeah. So if you get your green card first, then that would be your work authorization. So I-140 plus your EAD green card. And then are you ready for me to go into the next part?
Yeah, totally. So when someone actually gets approved their EAD, what are the next steps? Because once they get their EAD, it goes to your team, client services. So what are those steps after they receive their work permit?
Yeah, so after our clients receive our work permit, they should definitely reach out to BDV if BDV doesn't reach out to them first. Usually we know that you get your work authorization, but we find out about it a little later. So it's best if you can let us know. So we would immediately send you to start working with our client services department. And our goal is to work with our clients from the time of work authorization all the way until their date of hire with their EB3 sponsor. So as soon as you come into the client services department, you would be introduced to your specialist. So we have two main roles here in the client services team. We have 6 people who work for us, but 2 roles. One role is specialist, the other role is coordinator. So the specialist is that first person that you would be working with in client services. So your specialist is basically assigned to your case to help you. And so first you would confirm the terms and conditions from BDB with your specialist, and then your specialist will send you a questionnaire to fill out about your situation and what you still need to accomplish before you start work. And then your specialist will send you a checklist with everything that you need to do before you are hired. And during this time, if you don't have your social security card yet, you're waiting for that to come, all of your EAD, your green card or whatever should have come in the mail in your hand, and your social security card in hand by the time that you start moving, if you're not in the area. So the next thing is you would receive your work site. So some sponsors have multiple work sites within a city, and so we will give you the specific address where you will be working. We'll reach out to the sponsor for you and get that for you. And then after that, if you're moving to the area from another city, we will give you a job offer letter and a settlement, which I'll explain later more about that. And then you would complete all the items on your checklist. Like you would find housing, you would make sure that you have transportation, you would make sure that you have a driver's license, a bank account, childcare, and client services. That's why we exist. We exist to help you with those things. Anything that is a hurdle or an obstacle to keep you from getting to work, that's why we're here. And then you move, you settle in the area, and then the specialist is going to assign your case to the coordinator.
So that's a lot of great information, and especially for me, because I have a lot of people asking, obviously they want to know before they even start their process, how we're going to help them in that stage. Everyone, especially since not always will have a sponsor that is where they're already living. And a lot of people either want to move or will move for their job. And so they're kind of worried. But like you said, we help. That's why client services exists, to help them throughout that time. A big thing is receiving the work site and not moving. A lot of people ask me, can I get the exact address? Well, that will be dependent later on when you actually need to start working, and depending on the need of the sponsor, because it will still be in the same city where you originally signed up, but it just not me. We just don't know that exact address right when they're starting their process.
So I would say just some other important things to remember while you're working with your specialist in client services is, like, number one, our job is to help you prepare so that you feel comfortable working for your sponsor and you feel comfortable moving. So reach out to us with any questions or needs that you have. We want to help you. Like, let us know if you have a specific request or a problem or anything, because that's why we're here.
Exactly.
So we want to make the process smooth.
Yep. So once they finish with the specialist, they're going to move on to the coordinator, and I'll go into that section if you want to explain that next step of their process with client services.
Sure. So after you are settled and you're moved, then you would start working with the client services coordinator. So the coordinator is going to confirm that you're settled there, and then the coordinator's job is to create the relationships with the sponsor so that they are ready to receive you. So the coordinator is kind of like an onboarding specialist. They contact the sponsor, they set up your orientation, they get the date that you're supposed to go in, they get all the details, who you're supposed to ask for when you go. The coordinator also sends you all the information you need for your application for the job. Like, you may need to apply online for the job. Some of our sponsors require a drug test, a background check. So anything like that needs to happen, your coordinator is going to help you. So you don't have to worry about doing this on your own or figuring it all out. The coordinator already knows your sponsor, so they're going to give you all that info. And then you go in to meet your manager, you fill out the onboarding paperwork on site, you bring all your documents like your social security card and your EID with you to your sponsor, and then they give you your schedule and you start work at that time.
Great. So obviously client services is doing a lot, whether you're in the specialist or the coordinator role, they're helping you with every single step. So it's really not something to be worried about. That's why you hire BDV, because we have teams in place like this for we have the experience and we know what's going to happen. We know what needs to happen. Amazing stuff that client services does. We've seen a lot of huge surges of work permit approvals. Let me take this off so we can, there we go. We've seen a lot of work permit approvals recently. And so obviously Corey has been helping hundreds of people through this process along with her team in client services. What do you think for anyone starting in the middle or getting closer to that EAD approval? What would be your biggest tip to people who are going through these steps or getting there soon?
So I want to go back to just the coordinator section for a minute and talk about some important things to remember in that process. Sure. So I will say, like, probably the most important thing while you're working with your coordinator is to remember to wait to contact your sponsor until your coordinator sends you in for orientation. So like BDB is here to be the liaison for you and to manage everything for you so that your process is smooth. So we will communicate with your sponsor for you, and we'll give you their information that you can go in and contact them once they're ready for you. So that's just the end to wrap that part up.
That's a good note to add, because even at the very beginning and when I'm talking to people, a lot of people are asking, like, when do I have to, do my interview with the sponsor? How do I contact them? How do I go to the facility? Can I get the exact address so that I can go to the facility? And that, again, is why you hire BDV, because we do all of that so you can focus on the rest of your life and the rest of your process. Other things that you really should get concerned about, not this part, because we have that under control, and that's what client services is doing for you in that time.
Exactly.
But so again, hundreds of people that you recently and the last couple of years have gotten their work permits approved. Biggest tips.
So like Sarah said, we have served thousands of people over the years at BDB. In 2022, we served over 700 clients. So that means we helped 700 people start work through the EB3 program. So we are experienced in that. So I have 3 big tips. The first one is to be responsive. So we are here to help you. So if a specialist reaches out to you, please get back to them. Like, we want to hear from you and we want to serve you. That we are client services that's here to assist you in your questions and in starting work. The second one is to have a positive mindset, to really make yourself fully available to your sponsor to work whenever they need you for these 12 consecutive months. And within that mindset of positivity, to think a little bit maybe culturally different than what you're used to. So, if you're from a different culture that thinks about work in a certain way, you may want to know that Americans think about work in a specific way. So, like, especially when it comes to unskilled jobs. So in the US, even like Americans who work in unskilled jobs, such as fast food, janitorial, manufacturing, those types of positions that the EB3 program has, they are requested to meet certain responsibilities. And those may look different from roles that you've had in professional positions, whether in the US or overseas. So it could include working any full-time schedule that's requested, maybe an evening or a weekend, especially if it's food prep, evenings and weekends are really busy. It really depends on the needs of the sponsor. And sometimes the jobs can be physically demanding. So, we just want you to be aware of having those expectations and having a positive mindset to meet the sponsor's need, so that you're not unaware when you come in.
Yeah, totally. And that's why we kind of like to give that information before they even select it, before they even pay us a cent, because we want you guys to be aware of what you're going into and where you will be working. So we typically, if you don't have an account already, or if you do, you are able to see all the information about the sponsor before you even select it. Things like the job description, the shifts, the salary, the benefits, things like that, and what will be required from you, especially if it's something like a production job where you will have to either be standing or lifting a certain amount of weight. All of that information is given to you before you even start your process, so that you are aware, and understand before starting this long process and even getting to that work permit and starting work with your sponsor. So that's a great tip. Obviously, you get to pick it, so be aware that that's something that you have to check before you even start your process.
Yeah, exactly. And I think final tip I would say is just to be flexible with your life situation and your lifestyle that you're in right now, because it's very much like up in the air as you're waiting for your process to be approved.
Yeah.
So remember that this EB3 program is designed to help companies that are facing a labor shortage and they need their workers as soon as possible. So be flexible, be ready to move and to work we would love for you to start within 60 days from your work authorization, because those sponsors are so excited to have workers. They're really eager to get their workers, and they know that you guys are going to be really good workers and they really like you. So it's really great if you can be flexible enough to go and move there ASAP.
Yeah. And that goes on both ends. Like, it's awesome for the sponsor because they're finally getting their workers. And the whole reason that they're doing this process is because they need it so bad. But also great for the applicants, because one, they get to start a job, especially students who, didn't have an income. They get to start a job and start making some money, but also starting counting that year that you have to work for your sponsor at least. So on both ends, it's great when you get your work permit and start getting everything settled and ready to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So for me personally, I get a lot of questions from people, prospective applicants, looking to start their process and kind of worried about their own statuses, what they're going to do when they're going to when they actually get their work permit, specifically students. I always get asked, how am I going to go to school and work a full-time position, or can I continue going to school? So can you kind of answer that for those who are curious about this too?
Yeah, so we have a lot of students who come to us and they have a lot of questions about that. So if you are on F1 status, you should drop that after you get the green light from client services. So don't drop your F1 status as soon as you get your EAD or your work authorization. Wait to drop it until you talk to your specialist and find out where your work site's going to be, get that social security card, get your work site, and then you're preparing to move, you can drop it. But we just want to make sure that you're still on F1 status until you're absolutely ready to start your job, EB3 job. So if you happen to get your work authorization while you're in the middle of a semester, you can finish that semester. We don't want you to have to completely stop right in the middle of school. But, once you finish that semester, then you should put your school on hold and pause your studies for a year while you work your EB3 job. And, also if you're on OPT, we have a lot of clients who are on OPT. And our sponsors have asked that you still drop that F1 in order to work your EB3 job. Because that work authorization you've received is green card based, and it's based on the commitment to work in the EB3 job. So, you can always go back to another position in your field afterwards, or if you want to go back to school, you can return to school after you finish your commitment to your sponsor. And even like a positive aspect of that is once you have your green card, you will probably be eligible for more scholarships and
Yeah.
possibly in-state tuition. So, going back to school later will be easier for you as a green card holder
Yeah.
rather than an F1 visa holder.
Yep, I know that from experience because I mean I don't know if a lot of people know this. I'm also a green card holder, and when I got my green card, it was right in time for college, and I got a lot more scholarships. So that is a huge positive aspect of that
That's
side of
great.
things. But yeah, another question that I usually get is I've it just left my mind. But let's see. Do you have any other frequently asked questions that people are always asking before they even get to your step or with the coordinators or the specialists?
Yeah. So I just wanted to cover like what client services does to support our clients in this transition. So I want to give you all some specifics. So we provide overall customer service support to answer any questions that you have about the logistics of moving and starting work.
Mm,
And we are the liaison between you, the client, and the sponsor. So we're going to make all the requests for work site, all of the heads up to your sponsor to let them know that you are coming and giving them your email and your phone number, getting your orientation set up. We are going to assist you with all those checklist items that you need to complete before you start work. The only thing we can't do, though, is we can't secure housing or transportation for you. So we get that question a lot from clients, like, "Hey, can BDV arrange my housing?"
yeah.
So we are client services, but we're not like a resettlement company. So we don't arrange housing
Yeah.
and transportation, but we do a lot of research and we give you a list of like recommended links and recommended housing, places to go to find transportation. We do a lot of research about the community where you're going to live in, and then we give you that information. So we can give you resources, and then we follow up to help you complete those things. So if you are, in another city and you need to move to the area, we have two specific ways that we can help you. So number one is we're going to send you a settlement, which is like a guide to the sponsor with some more information about that sponsor and what to expect for them. And it also has information about that city. We have our housing options there. We have transportation, schools, community information, things to do in the city. So we're going to send that to you. Also, the second thing is a job offer letter. So a job offer letter is to assist you with finding housing, because when you go to
Yeah.
talk to an apartment manager, you have to prove that you're working and you're not going to have a pay stub yet. So you have to have this letter that shows that your sponsor is going to give you this job. So client services is working on the back end to get these letters from the sponsor for you to give to your apartment manager to reserve a place to live. So like that apartment manager can contact your sponsor, and then your sponsor will confirm that you have a job and that you're going to be paid through them. And your sponsor will already know about you because we will tell them your name. So like we are helping that sponsor understand your process of moving. So they're prepared to assist you with those apartment manager calls, making sure you get a place to live, and also onboarding you when you arrive at your job.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm glad we're doing these informational videos because although I know that we have teams at BDV helping throughout every step of the process, I don't know the exact details because I'm on a different team. And so it's nice to know, obviously, if I don't know it, a lot of these people, applicants or, prospective applicants don't know it either. So it's nice to go into more detail of all the
Yeah.
things that BDV is helping you with so that you're not stressed out. You're ready to go when you need to go, and you can live your life stress-free or, somewhat stress-free to figure out how to get started with your sponsor, and continue on to the next steps of your process. We have a good question here from somebody. They said, do they provide us any hands-on training regarding the job? Obviously, specifically in my head, I would think of like warehouse or production jobs, things like that. You want to touch on that?
Yeah. So your training will be provided on the job. So it will be for orientation. A lot of sponsors will have like a 1 or 2 week training period where they'll show you how to do everything. So some sponsors have a specific orientation time that's set aside from your work schedule. And some sponsors even have a location where they take you for training before you go to your main work site. So that's definitely something that our sponsors do. BDV doesn't set that up, but our sponsors do.
Yep. I get that asked a lot. A lot of people ask if they'll have to get certifications, especially, again, production jobs, or if they have to figure out all these stuff. Again, these are unskilled jobs. You don't need any experience or education prior to going into them. The sponsor will provide that, like Corey said. But yeah, do you have any other frequently asked questions that people are asking you, or anything else that you kind of want to make sure everybody knows about client services?
Let's see. Make sure everybody knows. Just know that we are here to help you, and we really want to for you to help us help you.
Yeah.
So you can do that by like communicating, being responsive, and just remembering that we're here to make sure that you overcome any obstacles that are keeping you from starting work, and also know that your sponsor is really excited to have you, and that they need you. Yes, BDV is here to help you get your permanent residence and get a green card, and that's really exciting, and we want to see that. And then at the same time, we also have these sponsors who are really excited to get workers, and they've been waiting for you sometimes for a couple of years, maybe as long as you've waited in your process. And so just know that the excitement that you feel about getting your work authorization is also the excitement that our sponsors are feeling as they receive workers.
Yeah. And we always say that this process is a relationship between us three, the sponsor, the applicant, and BDV. And it just like the sponsor, or just like the applicant needs the sponsor for their green card, well, the sponsor, the whole reason they even started this process is because they also need, employees. And so they're excited, they're willing, as our applicants should be excited and willing as well. It's a huge relationship between us three, us really in the middle, helping out to build that relationship further.
Yeah, so true. That's right.
Okay, well, I don't see any other relevant questions. Corey, thank you again so much for joining us and explaining more about what your team does. We really want to be able to give everyone more insight and a deeper dive into every team's work. And obviously, client services does a lot to help our sponsor or our applicants with what they need to do when they get their work authorization. So I'm glad that you were here to give the deeper dive, because obviously I don't have that deeper dive and you have all that information. And I hope everyone got the information they needed. If you ever need anything, me and Corey both are available in that chat. For those of you who are just starting your process and need more information, I'm there for you. Corey, if you guys are already in the middle of your process, going towards that work permit, or already have your work permit, Corey and her team are available to chat with through your BDV account. And if you don't have an account, like I always say, create an account on our website. It's a free account. We can give you more information, check your eligibility, and get your own process started so that you can get to Corey's team eventually and get helped with everything that we mentioned today. Yeah. So thanks again, Corey. And I hope everyone has
a good weekend.
Yeah. Bye, y'all.
Everybody. Bye.